Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to Camper Tech. I'm Eric Faust, your congenial host. Hey, we're starting a new segment. It's going to be called Q&A, hopefully the first of many segments. So without further ado, let's jump into what our subscribers have to ask. First one, Camperman 1985 from Fort Smith, Arkansas asks, Eric, we just started your program. Things are going well, but I do have a question about weight distribution hitches. My customer bought an Equalizer E4 and wants me to install it onto his Hideout 31-foot camper. Well, Camperman, you might want to start with a stiff drink. No, really, it's not that bad. Equalizer is one of the best hitches made. They've been around for a long time, made by Fastway. They've been around, I think, since 1949. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. Anyhow, they've been in the business a long time. They're a phenomenal company. So to basically hook it up, for one thing, they do have good instructions. But to get this thing set right, to get everything, the vehicle set right, you first want your camper or your customer's camper to be perfectly level. Then your tow vehicle, you back up, get it prepared with the weight distribution receiver hitch. And then what you do is you're going to have your trunnion brackets. You want those about anywhere from 28 to 33 inches back from the tongue. You measure those out, make sure they're equal, tighten them down. Think with, if I remember correctly, a 7/8 inch socket. You tighten them according to torque specs. You can use a torque wrench. You tighten them to about 150 pound-feet of torque. You put a lot of torque on these things. Anyhow, get those set. Now, what you want to do probably on the next step would be to set you're going to have to take, and you're going to have washers that'll stack inside of the unit that'll twist the ball forward or backwards. Given the weight of that, and this is just by experience, but given the weight of that Hideout, I think that's around 8,500 pounds unloaded. You'll want to stack 4 inches. So you tilt the ball forward towards the truck. Remember, the more washers you stack in, the more the weight is going to be distributed throughout the truck and onto the front wheels. Too little, the truck's going to ride like that. Too much, it can literally pull the back wheels up off the ground. So you want that balance. So start with 4 washers. Make sure your camper's perfectly level, and make sure your trunnion brackets are set. Now, the trunnions are the trunnion bars that come out from the center of the weight distribution hitch. You want those to be parallel. You want those to be parallel to your A-frame. In other words, here's your A-frame. Here are your trunnion bars from the hitch. You want them in an L bracket. You don't want them up like this. You don't want them down like that. You want them parallel. So you're going to have to make adjustments accordingly. I don't know how high his or her truck is, or tow vehicle for that matter. I would assume that it's a truck, being that it's a 31-foot Hideout and it's pretty heavy. And it depends on if the truck's a 1,500, 2,500, 3,500, single wheel, duals. All of that's going to come into play. So keep that in mind. Then what you want to do, lower the camper down onto the weight distribution hitch. And let me back up real quickly. Measure all of your wheels all the way around. The distance from the top of the tire to the fender. And that's all you have to do. And write those measurements down. And then lower the camper onto that and see how the measurements change. And then write all of that down. Again, raise the camper back up to level. Make sure it's disconnected from the truck. And take those measurements, and you'll want to do your adjustments accordingly. Again, the instructions are in the manual, but start with stacking the 4 washers. Then lower the camper back onto the weight distribution hitch and lower it enough to where you can lift the trunnion bars up onto their brackets, the L brackets. Make sure that they're level and that they hold tight. They come with a tool if they're hard to lift up on there. They've got a helper tool. It kind of looks like a gaff. Pull that up on there on both sides. Now you're hooked up. Your weight distribution is in effect. Go around and measure again. If the opening or the space between your front tires and the opening of the fender well is more than 1.5 inches from what its original setting was, you need to make adjustments accordingly. If you still have trouble, be sure to reach me. I'll be glad to help walk you through it. One thing that you'll want to take into consideration when you, I don't know if the customer, if they had the ball put on the weight distribution hitch or not. Equalizers, they've got a very thin collar. The ball drops down through that. You've got to get that nut on there. There's very little space between the nut and the walls of the weight distribution hitch. So what you want to do, you're going to have to get, the size on that is 1 3/4 inch socket. And you're going to have to get a thin wall, deep socket. You can get that at any Napa store. But again, a thin wall, deep socket, torque that on according to specifications. Once that's on, then the rest is pretty much, just tweaking here and there. It's not really that hard. It takes a little bit of time. But once you get the first one done, you'll be able to do the rest of them with ease. So don't be intimidated by it. Don't be put off by it. Jump into it and just do it. All right? Okay, Texas Girl 2010 from Lubbock, Texas. Hey, that brings me to a point. There are a lot of women getting into this. That is phenomenal because I'll tell you what, I've seen some sharp women working on these campers. Women are more detail oriented and they tend to slow down and do things the right way. Come on, guys, face it. We like to rush through things, right? Well, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's take a hint from these ladies, and you know what? Let's tip our hats to them, okay? But Texas Girl 2010 asks, Eric, our cleaning program is going well, but I'm having difficulty in removing those black marks that go down the side of the camper. What are they from? That's real easy. It's from your rubber roof. Whenever it rains and it leaks, it's going to run off the side of the camper. It's going to take fine little traces of rubber down the side of that camper, on a molecular level. Your roof may be white, but that white is just barely a skim coat. It's rubber that's running down the side of that camper and giving you your black marks. There are a lot of hacks to get that taken care of. One of the best things you can do, get the non-abrasive Bon-Ami, or Bon-Ami, depending on what area of the country you're from. The correct French pronunciation is Bon-Ami. Yeah, who cares? It's Bon-Ami, awesome cleaner. And you put that on a bristle brush, and they'll scrub off with ease. It's a wonderful, wonderful chemical or compound or cleaner. Another thing, if you can't find that, go to the dollar store. It's one of the best cleaners I've seen for all-around cleaning. It's called Totally Awesome. And that's all it's called. And it's cheap. It's amazingly cheap. That cleans a lot of stuff. So try those things out, see how it works out. And best of luck. And again, welcome aboard the Camper Tech program. Pay attention to some things. I think you're going to go far. Tanner B., Niles, Michigan, asks, Eric, a customer called me up the other day. The power in the back of their camper suddenly went out. Several sockets don't work, and the microwave doesn't work. I checked the fuses and the breakers. They all seem to work, but still there's no power. Would it be on the outside of the camper? No. You didn't tell me what kind of camper it was, but they have, if it's 2 legs on 50 amp or 1 leg on 30 amp, it's still going to feed into one system, and that's your converter box. Your converter box makes the decision as to where that current goes. It knows where, what to send to the 12 volt, i.e. your lights, your refrigerator, your furnace. It's going to take care of that. The rest of the 110 volt, it's going to send out to your microwave, your TV, and your wall sockets. What's happened there, I've seen this lots of times, is that your converter box is failing, at least the power supply in your converter box. You don't need to replace the whole converter box. Generally, 90% of the time, the power supply is going to take care of it. It wires up on the DC side with 3 wires and the AC side with 3 wires. It's easy to hook up. I'm going to do an instructional video on exactly how to do that. You can change one out once you get good at it in under an hour and have them running, charging 2 hours on it. You can get these power supplies. Make sure that you get the model number and the serial number. And, WFCO is probably the most popular converter box out there. Get all the information off that. Cross-reference that onto Amazon. You can pick one up for $180. Again, charge them $250 for the part, and charge them 2 hours of labor. You get good at it. You can have that changed out in under an hour. It's a good profit center. So try that. I guarantee that's what the problem is. And finally, we have Airstreamer 1996 from Kissimmee, Florida. Eric, I have good experience in the RV world. I have worked on many of my neighbors' campers throughout various campgrounds. I pretty much know what I'm doing on your, let's see, it's hard to read here. I've gone through your level 1 program. I know how to wash and wax, and I do a good job. I want to level up and start taking on more difficult tasks. Okay, we have a level up program. Obviously level 1, it's basically cleaning and minor repairs. Level 2 gets into some minor electrical work. Level 3, that gets into some detailed, high level cabinetry work, replacing floors or replacing roofs, etc. Really, on what you feel comfortable with is how you want to level up. Your comfort level and your tools supply and your facilities. Those are all the ones that you're going to need to take into consideration when you level up. So if you've got a good selection of tools, you're already on your way up. You can start. If you've got decent knowledge, hey, that's good too. Then there's also the knowledge that we will provide, probably yours truly will provide to you on leveling up on how to complete certain tasks. So that's one thing you need to think about. Again, your ability, your time. If you're the only technician at that campground and you've got 5 RVs to wash and wax and do minor roof treatments on, you're not going to have very much time to jump in and do diagnostics. That's why you may want to think about hiring somebody to work under you. You show them level 1, get them proficient at what they're doing there, and then you jump to level 2 or 3, and that's where we'll help you out. So you know how to get a hold of us, no problem. John Jump from, it's hard to read here. Well, John Jump, okay, from somewhere in Indiana. I can't read that. Asks, Eric, at our campground, we are fixing RVs year-round. Thanks to your program. Well, thank you. The problem is we don't have a garage to work on them. All right. I've seen that. I've seen that happen a lot of times. People lack facilities. Come on, again, like I'd stated earlier, no, we all can't build a 5-bay facility with jacks and forklifts and a complete tool collection and all the electricity. Well, you know what? There are ways to get around that. What you can do is you can get like these RV, basically they're RV tents. They go around. Matter of fact, I'm looking for it right now. I'm trying to find that. Let's see. Let's just find this right here. Yeah, I mean, look, they're RV carports. You can get them completely enclosed. You can add sides and roofs and backs to them. You can put lighting in there. You can put heating in there. You can make it as fancy as you want. And that way you have a working area around that camper no matter what the weather is, whether it's raining or snowing, or if it's extremely bright and hot sunlight. Hey, you know what? You're protected, and you can move this thing around onto your campground or designate a level spot as long as there's electricity and water nearby. Because again, you're gonna run into situations where you're gonna need electricity and water. But you can put these around. You can back your campers into them, so take that, run with it. Again, you'll be protected from the elements, and that way you're not going to be felled by the weather. There's some pretty neat things. Shelter Logic, Carport North, Selena, Shelter Logic, another Shelter Logic. Hey, you can get these at Home Depot. You can get them off of Amazon. You can get, for a travel trailer, you can get set up completely enclosed for $300 or less. For a fifth wheel, it probably costs you $500 or less. It's a wise investment, and it works. Again, and they're portable. You can take them around, but I would make it semi-permanent on a spot that you know that you're going to designate to work on RVs. Always try to have a spot designated. I know it can't always be done. That's why you can move that to the camper, but it takes a little time. So that's why it's always good to leave it up. That way you can back campers in there, work on them, get the work done, get them out of there, get the next camper in. So it works. So I wanted to take, that's all we have, the time we have for today. I appreciate you hanging with me. I mean, there are lots more questions coming in. If you have any questions, again, don't hesitate to ask. I answer each and every question, whether it's on here or whether it's personally. I will get to you. I will get you your answer. And we're going to keep this movement going, because I'm telling you, again, the dealers cannot handle this load. This is up to us. This is our opportunity. I appreciate all of you jumping on with our program. It looks like you're off to a raving success. I love to hear that. Share some of your stories with me. I'd like to hear it. Again, thanks for hanging. Let's get to work.